doing this differently again, I guess, from the normal videos, because I feel like chat interaction with this is basically required. All I want to do here is go over the PTB that we're getting for 8.3.0 and discuss whether or not everyone is freaking out for a reason, because I have seen so much doom about it. I thought it was me for a second. It was like me from 2 years ago. Everyone is super pessimistic about it, and I want to go over all the things in the PTB and whether or not they're cause for the absolutely insane amount of alarm that everybody has. So I figured I would do this live rather than as a pre-made video, because I want chat to bounce off of very frequently. So let's go over everything. I just saw this post earlier. It was on the front page of Reddit. It was highly upvoted. It means a lot of people agree with it. Let's just start here. Number 1, finisher Mori system doesn't hide objectless claims. Mori offerings encourage slugging. First one, I totally noticed the walls being removed. That's like the most whatever thing ever. I don't really care. Who cares if you see the Mori or not? But I saw that the occlusion thing anyway. Or culling, not occlusion, sorry. The culling looked fine. And Mori offerings encourage slugging. So this is, I think, the first thing we need to talk about. Mori offerings encouraging slugging. So how the new Mori offerings work is you need to kill the last guy in order to get the bonus blood points from your Moris. And I think it's Cypress, Ivory, and then Ebony, and it's 10, 20, 30,000 blood points each, right? I think that's it. So the reason why I'm not super concerned about this past like the first couple of days, first of all, I don't know if you guys have noticed, everyone's burning their Mori offerings now. I've gone against more Moris today than I have in the past like 6 weeks. I think there were like 5 Moris today. That's way more than normal. Because everyone is just burning through all of them because they're not going to be really that useful anymore. So I don't think this is going to be as big of a deal as people think it is in terms of encouraging slugging. Now, I will say, like, in a scenario, if you do burn an offering and like you down a guy and it's the third survivor and then you see the fourth survivor, I mean, sure, go for it. Hell, I do that sometimes. I don't think slugging for the 4K is super sweaty if the other guy is immediately visible and you know you can end that chase within another 10, 20 seconds. I think that's totally fine. And I don't even think anyone really complains about that either. It's the people when there's 2 people left and the killer downs someone across the map and just slugs them for the entire 4 minutes looking for the other guy. That's when it becomes cringe. But if the other guy's right in front of your face, it's like, I don't really care. My whole point is I don't think this is going to change people's playstyles. I think people that are not sweaty are not going to slug for the 4K, and people that are sweaty are going to slug for the 4K. I don't think a blood point incentive that's worse than literally just streamers or a pudding or a cake or any of that stuff is going to really drastically affect the way that they play the game. That's just my theory. I don't think it's going to change too much. I'd say for the first couple of days, we're going to see a lot more Moris, and people probably are going to want to get that. And after about a week or two, it'll just be back to normal. And I don't think there'll even be a difference. So my whole fundamental idea is that people are going to play how they're going to play. Whether or not they get a smaller blood point incentive on top of that is not going to change that. That is my prompt. Chat, hit me with the responses. BP incentive won't make people slug more. If people want BP, they'll just cake. Yeah, that's one of my main points. That the highest tier of Mori, the Ebony Mori, still gives less blood points than if you use just streamers or cake or the anniversary cakes or any of that shit. So it would still be more beneficial to just use those. Hi, friends. This is Scott Jund Explain. Shut up. Doesn't even sound like me. The BP incentive would need to be bumped considerably. You're talking like 75k. And I've seen people saying that too, because they want the Mori offerings to be more worth using, right? But then we start getting into the side of, yeah, if you're getting 100k blood points per Mori, well, then people might actually change their playstyle, because that's a lot more blood points, you know? The fact that it's less than just a regular, just, party streamers or something like that, and it's also conditional, means the Moris are, like, the Mori offerings are just not very impactful overall. I'd rather just bring any other blood point offering, Like, you don't even have to risk anything. It just happens no matter what with those other offerings. It should be a lot of blood points given the rarity, though. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they need to find that. I think the balance that they have there is pretty much perfect. It's like slightly less than like party streamers, but it's enough to where it's worth going for sometimes, That being said, you guys got to remember, that's the Ebony Moris. It's not like everyone has 500 Ebony Moris in all their characters. Like I said, I'd say the first week is probably going to have more of this, and then it's not really going to matter anymore. Every once in a while, you'll see it, and it might make someone slug for the 4K. when they wouldn't have a couple of times, but that's not really going to be a big deal. I really think it's not going to be a big deal at all. In my view, the Moris will be either useless or encouraging slugging. Either way, that's bad. So you're saying that, like, them not having much of a use is just as bad as them having too good a use to where it's going to make people be sweaty and slug? I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now, though. Because Moris, I don't know, Moris really don't do that much. Like, this is not, 5-6 years ago. Moris are just not scary anymore. Very rarely they do change the outcome of a match because a hook sabo or like a DS or something like that. I don't know. But can you guys remember the last time you were Mori'd in such a way that it was beneficial to the killer over just hooking you? Because I legitimately I cannot even remember the last time that happened to me. There's so many good perks that rely on people getting hooks now that a lot of the time the Mori is actually actively detrimental, and it takes longer depending on the killer. Like Pig and shit have like a really quick Mori, but some other like clown, he's got to go on his finger spree. It just takes like forever to do. So I feel like Moris are just already not, who cares? They're just a side cosmetic cool thing. So that's why I don't really care about this Mori change that much, because it's a cool cosmetic side thing that is now just still a cool cosmetic side thing. It's very rarely a required objective for the killer in order to win the game, No more Mori photobombings is a legitimate criticism. Teabagging people like during Ghostface Moris and shit like that, that is a good time. I will agree. I will concede that is a good point. That shit is very funny. People like cosmetics a lot. Look how lucrative the story is. Yeah, well, that's why this new system guarantees everyone can see their Mori, almost every game, as long as they're winning anyway, You can say a killer doing a Mori has actively let more players escape because of time wasted. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I almost find Moris to be actively detrimental depending on your killer. But I really don't think it's a big deal. And people are like absolutely freaking out about this all over Reddit, from what I've seen on Twitter and stuff like that. I seen people suggesting that they should keep the guaranteed Mori at the end, but also keep the Moris the same, and also make it so the Moris have the bonus blood points as on top of that. They're basically just saying they just want Moris like super buffed again, which I am more leaning towards the side that Moris should just be a cosmetic side thing that looks cool. Them giving bonus blood points is fine. That's great. But I don't think they need to be even part of the game anymore. There's a reason they've nerfed them and nerfed them and nerfed them, because circumventing hooks is not really how the game is supposed to be played. But does incentivize more slugging as a new Deathbound? Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We gotta go over all perks and stuff like that. But ending on the whole Mori offering things, my theory is about a week after it happens, yeah, you're gonna see probably a little bit more slugging. People will burn through their Ebony Moris. Then they'll only have Cypresses and Ivories left, which are 10 and 20k, and all their other blood point offerings are probably going to end up giving them even more. So they're just not even going to be worth using. In terms of useful add-ons to bring, or useful offerings to bring, Moris are among the weakest ones you can bring. They just really don't change much. Obviously, the strongest you can bring is map offerings. And then, for rewards, blood point offerings are still going to give you more. So sacrificial rewards too. Yeah, map offerings, counter map offerings, things like that. So that's my take on it. I really don't think it's going to be a big deal at all. Outside the first week, which, yeah, you'll probably get slugged a bit more. I can see that for sure. But outside of that, you're not even going to notice a difference anymore, because Moris are very low impact on the game currently, and they're just shifting to still low impact. So it's sort of whatever. Weaker than Mist? No, Mist is pretty shit. That's pretty bad. Corrective action, hyperfocus, 25-second gens. This, I don't... this is not going to go live. Everyone is freaking out about this. People are making clickbait videos about it. It's not going to go live. There is a 0% chance this goes live. You can copium clueless all you want. The devs are not that stupid. I know they're pretty dumb. They're not that stupid. If you genuinely think this shit's going live, I think you're dumb. It's just, there is no chance at all. They're aware of it. They know it's stupid. They're not just going to go, oh well, skill checks in Dead by Daylight don't matter anymore. Let's remove one of the fundamental aspects of the entire game just because, I don't know, we feel like it. The worst thing that'll happen is they'll kill switch the perk before it hits live. I promise you there is a 0% chance that hits live, so just stop freaking out about it. There's no reason to be dooming about it. It will not go live like that. For those that don't know the issue, corrective action and hyperfocus is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a useful combo. But the problem is corrective action feeding into itself. By missing a skill check, the new change gives you a great skill check, and great skill checks give you a token, so they infinitely give tokens into each other over and over again. So that's not going to go live. There's no chance. If it does, I will spend an hour calling Behavior the dumbest company on the planet. You can quote me on that. It's just, there's zero chance it's going to happen. I promise. So stop freaking out about that. There's no reason to be pessimistic. It's a very silly PTB thing, and that's it. Done already do that? Not really. I don't know why people think I'm the guy that shits on Behavior anymore. That was like 4 years ago. When they do something dumb like Skull Merchant, yeah, I'll make fun of them, but I really don't do that anymore. It's been a long time. Dragon Egg, thank you for the 34 months. Appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know that tech, and I'm scared to question it, Patrick. Zanshin is completely busted on certain killers. This, I think I actually agree. I think Zanshin is, the aura reading lasts way too long. I think the aura reading is what, like 10 seconds or something? That is too much. I think Zanshin should last like 1 second. Considering it has no... There's two ways you can take Zanshin. You can make it so it either has a cooldown or it lasts like 1 second. There's no in between there. Otherwise, you just have permanent aura reading around the loop. And that's way too much. So I think either put a cooldown of like 30 seconds or make it last like 1 second. Just pick one. And I'm sure they're going to do that because the reception to Zanshin Tactics has been pretty much universal. Hey, this is too good. So from what I've seen in the community, like no one is defending the perk. Everyone is saying that it's too strong. So again, in terms of worrying about shit, way too early to worry about it. I highly doubt it'll be like this when it goes live. I'm not as confident. I'm not 100% sure like this shit, but I'm like 95% sure they're going to nerf it before it goes live. Will it be enough? Will it be too much? That I don't know. That's up in the air. But it's not going to go live like that in its current form because it's just a little too good. Especially for certain killers like Pyramid Head. Anyone that's going to play the loop rather than having to kick it and move on. It's a little much. Skull Merchant effectively deleted. So I will be mature here and say that the nerf that she got was ridiculous. It wasn't a nerf. They just essentially removed her from the game, and their excuse was, "We're gonna fuck with her later. We're just cutting our losses." So obviously, it's pretty pathetic that that's what they were pushed to. Again, personal aside, the evil Scott on my shoulder goes, "I don't fucking care." So, and then the angel side was murdered by this side. So. No one is telling me to care about this, so I don't care. She deserves it. She's a miserable plague on the game. But what they did to her is stupid. It's just objectively a terribly designed nerf that is just like, it's just so dumb. And then they went on record saying they went on record saying that they deleted her on purpose, basically, because they just don't know what to do with her. That is embarrassing, but I don't care. So, who is bitching about this? This Pixel Bush and like 2 other people. No one else cares about this. Why are people dooming about this shit? How is this something to complain about? We've been asking for Skull Merchant to get removed since she came out. Like 98% of the player base. Everyone is fine with this. To pretend that this is a big deal is... If you're viewing it from the perspective of it's not good for the trajectory of how they will balance stuff in the future, I don't think that's true. I think Skull Merchant is a wonderful exception of constant, incredible failure. I don't think that's... Everyone's like, what if they took Nemesis and then removed his tier 2 and tier 3 and said, we'll fix it later? They're not going to do that because Nemesis is not a plague on the game. It's not like... This scenario is very rare. I don't think it's a precedent at all because Skull Merchant is... Like, you know how Nurse is just sort of out there in her own thing and like... Nothing revolves around her because if you try to bring her into the conversation, everything just breaks. Skull Merchant is like that, but in the other direction of just being like, it's just the most horribly designed shit ever. I guess that's pretty close to Nurse too, but we just accept Nurse for whatever reason. It's more of a testament that they waited this long before taking action. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I think they were just hanging on to Copium a bit too much. They kept trying to rework her and they kept failing. And they kept trying to say, it's fine. And then her kill rate probably kept going up and up and up because no one wants to play against her and they had to just throw in the towel. So, trying to go for fast-paced gameplay by nerfing gen regression and buffing chase perks like all this aura reading. Yeah, and I think that's an okay meta to go towards. The chase is the most fun part about the game. But yeah, I really think 99% of the player base doesn't care about this. It is concerning the way that they handled it, but again, in terms of things to be concerned about, none of you care that she's unfairly nerfed. Everyone is celebrating this. Like, again, it's not good or... This is not a lawful good mindset to have, but I don't care. Fuck her. Unknown is way clunkier than before. So I did a bit of investigating with this. Unknown is way clunkier than before. So the main thing I asked people to play Unknown, what felt more clunky, they said that you can still pretty much fake the power and they can barely notice the difference. They said the teleporting feels a lot clunkier though. And so I checked the actual teleport timer. So it's 1.7 seconds normally, but there's an add-on that lets it reduce to 0.85 seconds. So the new baseline is 1.4, but they nerfed the add-on to be like 1.12 seconds or something. So basically, there's a 0.3 second difference between old and new, which is pretty minor. That's a third of a second. That's really not that much time. According to all the numbers that go into all this stuff. Is Unknown bugged in the PTB? I'm unaware. Is Unknown bugged? I didn't know about that. But from what I've seen people say that most things about Unknown...
As a friend, as a lover.
Thank you, Blatt. I've noticed most people are saying that everything about Unknown has been nerfed. But the quantity of the nerf is so minor that it's like... Now, you can make the argument, did Unknown really even need a change to begin with? I would say Unknown was probably fine. Like, I don't really think Unknown needed to change at all. If I were to do anything to fix this, I would make the base teleport a bit faster. I would say that's a bit much. Yeah, I can agree with the argument that they're unnecessary. I don't really think they needed to do that. I understand wanting to stop the faking the power thing, because that's always annoying. But from what I understand, the faking the power thing is not really that affected very much at all, at least from all the Unknown players that have talked to me about it. So it's more the teleporting that feels kind of gross. But again, it's only 0.3 seconds, so I feel like it's really not that crazy. But if you're relying on the teleport solely to get hits, then I could see how that's a lot more of a problem. So if anything, I would say it's not a huge deal, but they could possibly just buff his initial teleport to like 1.1 seconds now. That way, if you use the add-on, it'll put you right about where the old one was. I think that'd be fine, right? Because I get that they want to bring some of the add-on. Here's the thing. Usually when they implement a base kit add-on, if you run that add-on after the change with the new changes, it's usually slightly better than before. Because they add some base kit, but then they take a bit away from the add-on. But in this case, they added some base kit and took a lot away from the add-on. They took more than they usually do. Would it be okay with 0.3 seconds being added to Nemesis's wind-up? No, but that's a little different because one's at the end of a teleport, one's at the beginning of power use. It would feel, there are completely different scenarios. It would, of course, not feel great, but I'm saying, like, it's not such a drastic, like, game-ending change that people are saying Unknown's unplayable now. I'm more talking about people that are hyperbolizing? Is that even a word? That are, making hyperbole of the situation. If people are just going, yeah, he feels a bit worse, that's fine. I think that's a completely reasonable assessment. 0.3 is big compared to the small numbers we're talking about. Yeah, I mean, 1.2 to 0.85 is, yeah, it's, when we are talking about small numbers percentage-wise, it is pretty noticeable, yeah. So I think just for safety, they should just buff his base teleport a bit more. I think 1.1 seconds would be perfect, because then, yeah, with the add-on, he would be right pretty much exactly how he currently is with the add-on, so. If anything, he didn't really need a change at all. I think faking the power is a little annoying, but I feel like no one really complained about Unknown that much. I think Unknown's actually a pretty well-designed killer. I don't personally like playing him, but I can acknowledge when a killer I don't like is still well-designed, It's not like a Skull Merchant scenario where just because I don't play her, that's why I don't like her. I think Unknown is cool. I don't think he didn't really need anything. There are 10 killers that could use more changes than him right now. So if the criticism there is unnecessary change, I can agree with that for sure. Is it worth dooming about it? Probably not, but unnecessary for sure. I still think you should get more of a reward for direct hit with his power, but We're Gonna Live Forever is way overtuned. Can combine with other heal speed perks to effectively heal the survivor quicker than killers hit recovery. No, you can't. That's the math does not work out like that. I mean, maybe it does if you've got like We're Gonna Live Forever, Botany, 4 stacks of Desperate Measure, Will Make It, Circle of Healing from somebody else, your Dying Light, you have a med kit. It's such an impossible scenario that sure, I'm sure somebody will make a video with the entire team going for one thing that could have been done by just 4 of the people, but it's so situational that's not going to matter. You cannot pick someone up. We already did the math by yourself. You cannot do that. It's impossible. The 50% heal speed bonus on We're Gonna Live Forever saves you about 2 more seconds on the heal. It's not that crazy. Was it necessary? Probably not. I don't think they needed to do it. Again, there are so many worse perks in the game than We're Gonna Live Forever. I do find it weird that they go for changing perks that are already pretty decent and making them better than not looking at all of the bottom perks and not touching them. And I understand they did touch a lot of the bottom perks like Predator and, all the teamwork perks and stuff like that, but there are so many more that need to change more than We're Gonna Live Forever, How long do you think the pickup should take minimum? It needs to be longer than the killer's attack cooldown. That's it. So longer than 2.7 seconds. With this change, We're Gonna Live Forever old for the people in Buckle Up are back in concept. I mean, not really. This is essentially what old We're Gonna Live Forever did. It's just you can do it 2 seconds faster now. It's not going to really change that scenario at all. You can still just down the person that's saving. It's not like Buckle Up where, you used to both get endurance. When you use We're Gonna Live Forever, you only give endurance to the other guy. So you can still just down the person doing the save. It's not that crazy of a change. So I don't think that's really going to matter that much. It also has a cooldown. Well, the cooldown is there to prevent people from chain picking each other up over and over again. The cooldown is mostly irrelevant. It's more anti-slug. I mean, it's always been anti-slug. We're Gonna Live Forever was like the premier anti-slug perk for years. They started making other things that were possibly a bit better, but I think it's always been the anti-heal perk. I think DC penalty be reduced. I mean, that's a whole separate discussion. That's a different video. But yeah, I would say this is not a very big impact on the game, but also unnecessary again. Again, it's a lot of the summary of this patch is unnecessary, but whatever. That's sort of how I feel about a lot of it. Compared to the absolute, doomer pessimism here, I'm more just like, that's weird, but whatever. Everyone's complaining about the dev stats slugging. Now they're complaining about a buff to anti-slugging. That is actually pretty funny. Like I said, you guys got to remember that this makes the pickup time faster by 2 seconds. I know 50% seems a lot, but when you're stacking a bunch of healing things, it's a logarithmic growth. It eventually sort of caps out on itself. So it's really not that crazy. Removing the safe hook requirement, though, is probably the more noticeable buff to the perk over the heal speed. The endurance effect being a guaranteed thing now is actually pretty good. Now, the nerf, or I guess the change with having a cooldown, you could have a scenario where the killer's got 2 people slugged, and a survivor goes to pick someone up, and there's another guy next to him under a pallet. He drops a pallet and then picks up the other guy. Now, the second guy's not going to have endurance, but that's not really going to matter much in my opinion. The correct play is still always going to be to hit the guy that's doing the picking up, I think they just wanted to make the perk less complicated, but again, I don't think this perk needed much of a change. What do you mean, Zubat? How would the second person get endurance with We're Gonna Live Forever? Oh yeah, that's right. It's not like you can get a hook in between there. For some reason, I thought that once you got a safe unhook, it activated it for the rest of the game. But no, you're right. It's only once per pickup, right? And then you'd have to get another safe unhook. I forgot that's how it actually works. Is that how it works? It is, okay. Okay, well then it's roughly just sort of the same thing then. No one's going to be able to do any clutch double pickup plays anyway. Regardless, the same... The correct play every time in that scenario is to hit the person picking people up. That's always the safe play to make. So that hasn't changed. So it's really not that big of a deal. It is a buff to a perk that didn't need a buff, but the impact it's going to have on a match is not that crazy. Anyway, I haven't seen that. Reworked Predator rewards bad gameplay. Predator is when you leave a chase, you see the aura, and it's got a cooldown, right? How does that make sense? How does it reward bad gameplay? Oh, are they saying like you lost the chase and that's bad gameplay? I don't really agree
When
with that.
would you Scott Jan Bubble?
Soon, Han Solo. Yeah, it's got a 40-second cooldown. I don't think losing chase means you're bad. Sometimes, I mean, okay, a survivor lights a window. You're bad now because they used a perk. Like sometimes you can't control it. Sometimes you just lose chase, and this is part of the game. I think the rework Predator is honestly fine. Yeah, I know people are gonna go, but nurse. Yeah, just fuck nurse. Just stop bringing nurse into conversations about that. If survivors stealthily evade you, they should get rewarded for it. If survivors are ever stealthily evading you in a chase, that is a skill issue on the killer's end. That is never going to happen unless they specifically have like Lucky Break, Overcome, Quick and Quiet, or something like that. You can't really lose killers in chase unless you have a very like specific build for it. It is possible with those perks for sure, but it's very hard to just straight up lose a survivor mid chase. New players lose chase all the time. It helps them stay in the game too. Yeah, sure, we can go with that. Exactly, Maverick. Plenty of perks that activate like that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't agree with that at all. I mean, this is whatever. This is just his opinion on a random. That's whatever. Distortion neutered into uselessness. At the same time, multiple powerful aura rating perks are added. Oh yeah, Katana. I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm just saying it's extremely unlikely. So Distortion nerfed into uselessness. The funny part about how Distortion was changed is Distortion actually more directly counters a lot of these new perks. You know what I mean? I feel like Distortion, because of the way it regenerates, now is more an anti-chase aura reading perk. So it's less of an anti-rat perk and it's more of an anti-aura reading chase perk. So I don't think it's useless. It's just different now. Now, for people that used it to rat, yes, it's now useless for you because you're going to have to actually, like, you know, play the game and get chased in order to get your shit back. But the way it works now makes it more effective against new perks like, you know, Zanshin, for example, or Predator and shit like that. So it's kind of interesting how it shifted like that with the game also shifting with it too. So yeah, I think letting it start with 2 stacks or max 2 stacks, I'd be okay with that. That's fine. But I kind of think it's cool what they did. I don't think you should have a perk that lets you just hide and do nothing the entire game. I find that extremely boring. And again, I know that's like a lot of people enjoy playing stealthy, but that's the thing. There are still stealth builds that can happen in chase too. Like seriously, use Overcome, Lucky Break, and Quick and Quiet and like Iron Will or something. That is one of the best stealth builds in the entire game and nothing involves you being a rat. It's an active chase build. If you use that build, you will escape chase like 9 out of 10 times, depending on the map you're in. It's so good. Don't popularize Lucky Break. You're right. It's a shit perk. Yeah, Parental Guy and Smash It. Like, there are a ton of chase perks that are stealth perks that work in chase. I worded it like an idiot, but there are a ton of really, really good stealth perks that are actively good in a chase. And I think that's what they want to promote more. Not, you know, Claudette hiding in a bush with Distortion doing nothing, but Claudette actually evading a chase due to her perks and stealth and stuff like that. That is an interesting form of stealth that I actually enjoy. I have no problem with that. So the fact that this Distortion is more geared towards that type of playstyle, I think that's cool. I like that. One playstyle allowed game? No, you can still be stealthy. Just do it aggressively in a chase rather than just hiding in a bush. And I get new players want to hide in a bush, but eventually you just get past that point and now no one wants you to do that anymore. Your teammates don't want you to do it. The killer doesn't want you to do it. You're the only person that wants that. So, I don't know. I wonder if there's any comments that have more things I disagree with. I want to go to my own tweet after this too, because a lot of people were arguing with me as well. Yeah, like shit like this. It's the worst patch they've released in a while. It's not even released, but like, I don't know why people are so like, we have had so many worse patches than this. We've had so many worse patches than this. The fucking Twins PTB, like, dude, there's so many worse things than this. It's not even like bottom 10. So many of these decisions are completely illogical and seem out of touch with the reality of the games they're developing. Sad fact of reality is that there are so many bad changes implemented here. Yeah, like what? It's completely illogical, out of touch. Doesn't match the reality of the game. So many bad changes. This is like political talk. What specifically? This is the most vague shit ever. Well, this is what I want to talk about. I want to see what... Yeah, here's an actual tangible point I can agree with. They changed it and nobody was asking for it. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment completely. Like, that is a reasonable criticism there. No one really asked for Unknown to be changed, and they still changed him despite other characters, I think, needing way more of a change, you know? That is just odd. Again, it's not worth dooming about and, like, freaking out saying it's one of the worst patches of all time, but it's certainly enough to go, why would you do that? That's strange. Let's see if there's anything else. Thing is not against Distortion being nerfed because it have at least gained tokens during chase or something. They should make Distortion encourage survivors to do things instead of hiding without having to gut it. Am I not understanding it, or isn't that more along how Distortion works now? Because now you have to interact with the killer now, right? Isn't that encouraging survivors to do things instead of having to get it? Am I, like, not understanding? I don't know, Sendar. There's a lot of people on social media complaining about this entire patch. I don't know. It's just so much shitting on it. Again, it's not amazing, but it's not like... Oh, hey, look. Someone actually did the math. Nice. See, this guy's based. So, in order to beat the killer attack cooldown with We're Gonna Live Forever, you need We're Gonna Live Forever, Decim Measures with all 4 stacks, Botany Knowledge, Will Make It, which is currently still active, while affected by Better Than New, while having Circle of Healing and Dying Light and Leader with someone else in the area. Like, that's such a... It's not gonna happen. Like, it's nothing. That is not an issue. The fact that it's theoretically possible. This must not go on. This injustice must end. What the fuck? Like, dude... Why is everyone so dramatic about this one? I don't get it. It's like, it's so not that big of a deal, like, for anything. Again, a couple of weird changes for sure, but it's so not that big of a deal. Trolling? I mean, that guy in particular might have been trolling. Okay, anyway, let's go to my, That's just not true. They're just making shit up. Let's go to my Twitter. Just somewhere. The hell is it? Oh, it's stupid. There we go. Okay, I posted about this too. I just tweeted, you know, what's going on? Why does everyone hate it? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, Pixel. I feel like I should not read Pixel because he's too attached to Skull Merchant to be reasonable. Refresh the page. Oh, I haven't refreshed in a while. It's true. He will not take We're Gonna Live Forever seriously. What do you mean? Zanshin, Blood Rush, We're Gonna Live Forever are terrible changes for little actual reason. So I'm going to repeat what I said here, that Zanshin Tactics is not a good perk. It's bad. It's just Windows of Opportunity, but shittier. Blood Rush was borderline useless. So the fact that people are saying that perk was okay and didn't need to be changed is ridiculous. We're Gonna Live Forever getting a mild buff. Unnecessary, but I can understand that criticism because it wasn't really needed. Like, I don't get that. Blood Rush. I mean, yeah, even Pixel mentioned that too. Because Blood Rush was borderline useless. Because the way Blood Rush is designed, it's a perk that only is beneficial if you're on Death Hook, which means you're probably being focused, but you also need to be healed, so you can't exactly be tunneled, but you also need to get chased after that hook. So you need to be tunneled, but not quite so... You need to be tunneled just the right amount of tunneled. And that's the only time you'd be able to potentially just get 2 exhaustions in a chase. I checked Blood Rush on Nightlight. It's like a 0.01% pick rate. Nobody uses it. The fact that people are saying that Blood Rush didn't need a buff is insane to me. It was one of the most underused perks in the game, and it was terrible. So it's just absolutely needed to be changed. Merchant got obliterated. That is true, but That's sort of like, you know, it's like obliterating Hitler. No one's really complaining about that. Buddy, do you want to join us? Oh, you can join us for the patch notes. It's okay. Oh, big boy. Here. Wait. Okay. I'm excited for duos running corrective action hyperfocus. That will not make it to live, man. You don't have to worry about that, I promise. Don't think the broken perk changes, killer guttings, and garbage finisher Mori was bad. Again, I responded to this one too already. The killer that was gutted was Skull Merchant, so she needed to have a drastic change. Again, the way they did it, not necessarily good game design, but still the overall net good, I would say. The only broken perk I can think of is Zanshin Tactics. Because the ore reading just simply lasts too long. And even then, it's still not insane. It's just really good on a few killers. And I don't think those killers should be able to get that much value out of it. And yeah, I don't know. I don't care about the finishing Mori system at all. I think it's completely fine. The amount of Moris I run into that actually have a beneficial impact on the match is very little. Very, very little. It does rarely happen, but it's so little, so. Zanshin should be good on Nurse. That doesn't really make any sense. With Nurse, you would just want to keep running. You would probably leave the loop immediately. Who's looping a Nurse? That being said, I do think the ore reading... Oh yeah, you wouldn't even drop a pallet. It's the even better counterpoint. I agree with the unknown guy. That's completely fine. Blood Rush making the whole aggressive and anti-tunnel usage even more obnoxious. Particularly to killers with items involved in their powers getting disproportionately screwed because killer power interactions aren't conspicuous actions even if you're on the other side of the map. Pixel talked about this too. So the whole counterplay to most of this shit is you just ignore the guy that was off the hook, right? Because they can't really do anything to progress the match. But there are a few killers in the game where you can technically progress the match. Like if it's a trapper or like a pig, you can go to get your trap off. Nemesis and Wesker, you can get your infection off. Like you can still do something useful for a little bit. Wait, Blood Rush is 40 seconds? I thought it was 60. Is it only 40? I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm pretty sure it's 60. It is 60, okay. The hell, man. Oh, 40 on tier 1. Oh, whatever. Someone on Reddit said they should get monetary compensation for the Skull Merchant. I see. It is a baby's first time learning about terms of service. That's adorable. So, there's a couple of points about Blood Rush. There's no mistake, Blood Rush needed to be changed. It was a very underused, not very good perk at all. So how Blood Rush works now is it is used for anti-tunneling. And the main counter argument I've seen from people that have been debating with me about this is that there are certain killers that have tools or things that you can do that are not conspicuous actions, and because of that, they can still technically keep their perk and still progress the game in a certain way. Which is technically true. That is true. It's just, I feel like in that scenario, it's still not as impactful as people are pretending. Like, there's a lot more variables to go into that. For example, you know, like we'll go with like Pinhead or something. If you get off the hook and are you just going to beeline it to Pinhead's box or something like that? There's not another teammate on it. The box not on cooldown. Like, a lot of things have to line up here for this exact scenario where you still get to do something useful actually matters. From what I've seen, people are saying like they're gonna body block 12 times with 90 sprint bursts, and it's just gonna be like, I feel like I'm the only one who's like, I don't care. I'm probably never going to encounter this perk. Like, I mean, I'll encounter it. It's just they're not gonna get to use it, like, ever. The main thing you have to do is just get it in your head to not focus the guy that just got off the hook. It's just like there's a lot of hypothetical scenarios where it could be bad for you, but I feel like most of the time it's whatever. If you just continue to play in a non-tunneling way, you're just not even going to notice these perks. Not only will you not notice them, but they'll be using perk slots for a build that gets no value. they can barely progress the game while using it. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, sure, you can go break a trap, or you can go good or to reverse bear trap or something like that and try to get that off. You're still doing something useful, but it's not like you're doing the main objective of the game. You're likely not healing someone. You're probably not getting healed. You're probably not interacting with any of that shit. So I think Blood Rush is actually a really cool perk. I think it's well designed. Again, I'm saying this from a killer side. As someone that tries their best to not tunnel, I feel like I am going to not care about this perk whatsoever. In fact, it's beneficial to me because people will waste a perk slot using it when it's not going to even matter against me. And even then, the worst thing that it will do is give them 2 exhaustion perks, which is not exactly an instant get out of jail free card. Most people will probably combine it with Sprint Burst, which means they're forced to just run Sprint Burst, and they'll just get 2 Sprint Bursts out of it, which will give them a ton of distance. Now, half the killers in the game can probably make up that distance in 5 seconds, and the other half are probably just going to chase somebody else instead. Like, it's still not going to be that big of a deal. You can still open a chest. Oh my god, you're right. Yeah, fucking Dracula. Dracula, Blight, Billy's Spirit, Nurse. I mean, I feel like half the killers in the game can make up that distance in a very short amount of time. And again, a lot of killers can't do that, but as long as you just don't tunnel the guy who's going Mach 10 off the hook, whatever. Their perk is not going to do anything. You still get a bit of value out of Balanced Landing and Off the Record. One, you can use Balanced Landing for map traversal, or reset your exhaustion to counter Fearmonger if you ain't getting tunneled. I mean, that's a very specific thing if they have that perk and you were just on a gen and you were running right off the gen, sure. Those same killers make up distance with Decisive as well. I don't see the problem. Well, the thing is, it's not like Decisive. It's another additional method of defense. If you're on a gen, it disables blood. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a conspicuous action. You're right. Good point. That wouldn't matter at all. I don't know. My personal take is I don't care about this at all. They can put a billion anti-tunnel perks in the game, and I still wouldn't care. Because I feel like in most games, as long as you have a decent build on a not bottom 5 killer, you can still pretty reliably win most matches without tunneling at all. So I think the perk is fine. I think the game... It's so weird that people are arguing in favor of wanting tunneling to be more prevalent. Granted, it's like 99% killers saying this, but don't we want the game to be less focused on tunneling and less focused on doing gens super fast? I feel like people would prefer both of those things. Or like the same players that said base get BT would ruin the game. Probably, yeah. Yeah, it also disables when gens get done too, so you don't have to worry about like an end game scenario where someone double sprint bursts off the hook to the exit gate or anything. I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's better than fine. I think it's actually a cool perk. I think it's well designed. I think if you want to dedicate your entire build to not getting tunneling or not getting tunneled, and you want to roll the dice that you're going to be the one tunneled in a match. Again, I did that whole experiment where there was tunneling like 1 in 10 matches, and I was personally tunneled even less than that. Then sure, you're going to have no build like 8 out of 10 of the other games, but I guess if you want to be really strong on those times, like that's fine. I don't know. I just this veers more towards personal opinions here. Well, I guess everything here is a personal opinion, but I don't care about this at all. I think this is completely fine. What are we talking about? Blood Rush, the new Blood Rush. I think it's actually well designed. I like it a lot. There should be a 10-second block on all gens above 50% every time a gen gets complete. Like as a base mechanic. Look, as silly as that sounds, I'm all for them adding base kit slowdown
It's been
features.
a month since the last time I gave you money.
Thank you, Pancakes. I'm all for adding more base slowdown features and removing things from slowdown perks. I think less reliance on slowdown perks would be good. Ideally, Dead by Daylight would just have no slowdown perks. I think that would be the best way to have the game. Gens would take longer by default, and there could be other base kit slowdown features in the game. But the variability between running no slowdowns and 4 slowdowns is so drastic that you cannot possibly balance the game. It's impossible. So what they need to do is take shit away from perks and throw it into the base game. That would be great. That would be the ideal form of the game, because it is impossible to balance when you have that much variance. You just cannot do it. Mori change blows, whatever. Corrective action is genuinely broken. I mean, to be fair, it is literally broken on the PTB, but it won't be on live. One positive, Skull Merchant being less annoying. I mean, she's dead. That is one way to be less annoying. Skull Merchant was gutted, so it's a base PTB. Based. I'm trying to find people that are disagreeing with me. Free ore reading within 60 meters of pallet is no way of making it to live. I agree. It won't. Moving on. It's not going to make it to live like that. If the new Moris system is blown out of proportion, it's not that bad. Perk change is mostly fine, like they're changing a bunch of perks at once. Damn it. All these people are agreeing with me. I need more people arguing with me. Oh my god. Rolled. I muted it. Get fucked. Looking for drama? I'm not looking for drama. Looking for someone that just disagrees with me. That's all. I don't want to just sit here and circle jerk with everybody. Yeah, it's mostly just Zanshin, which is going to get nerfed. It's mostly just things that are absolutely going to get fixed before it goes live. Like, guaranteed. Which I guess if people, like... The main reason I worded it as I did right here, everyone hates the PTB, is because I feel like when most people talk about bad things on the PTB, what are they actually referring to? It's usually they're worried about it because it's going to go to the live servers and be part of the game, right? I feel like bitching about things that are clearly broken on the PTB is good to do to let them know it's broken, but like saying that this is it, we're going to ruin Dead by Daylight, it's the worst patch ever. Like, it hasn't come to live yet. It's not going to come to live like this. They do this every time. There's always something super broken, and it usually doesn't come to live, right? So I don't know why people are taking this so much more severely. I don't have a problem with people saying that there are questionable things on this patch. I think that's completely fair. I just don't understand why people are so drastically negative about it. It seems not nearly as bad as people think it is. And that's all. That's my only argument if I had to summarize the whole thing. I don't know why people think it's as bad as people are saying it is. That's all. Teamwork perks needed to be reworked instead of having these mediocre perks stuck in the specific new category with a specific condition. That is a good point. You also bring up the teamwork perks that I've seen people bitching about as if they're still going to be good. Like, dude, no one is going to use those perks still. They're still going to be terrible. The haste one might be marginally useful for like a meme or something. The stealth one is completely worthless. And the actual haste one, power of 2, whatever, is going to be... it's going to be used by people, and they're going to lose the game because of it. It's going to cause people to lose games. I think we're not going to rat around with 14% haste. Oh no, we are, and we're going to lose. We're going to lose because of it, but we're going to be going really fast while we lose. That's the whole point. Like, it's not really going to help people win more. It's just going to make people fuck around more, which fine. I'm okay with that. As the killer, if people want to go running around in circles and do nothing, that's great. Stick together and do nothing. That's completely fine. I think, honestly, that should be encouraging more people doing silly shit. Yeah, I think the teamwork perks in general will just never work because grouping up is the worst thing you can do in DBD. Except, right at the end. But those perks are not going to be an issue at all. Even if they ship to live exactly how they currently are, they're still not going to be an issue. They're going to be not at all overpowered. You can do gens while affected by teamwork perks. Yeah, I know. My point is it's still worse to be together. It is always worse to do 2 people on one gens, again, unless it's like the last gen or a crucial generator that's like in the middle of a 3 gen or something. It's always worse to be grouped up on a generator. Even if both of you have a bunch of haste there, it's still worse. And again, it's not like you go faster than the killer or anything like that. We're talking about like, combining it with hope and other like rat-like things, which is it's more of a meme than anything. If those perks get popular, discordance will be all over the place. Sure, yeah, you could do that too. My point is, if there's a perk that forces people to do one of the worst things you can do as Survivor to benefit from it, which is group up and not leave right next to each other, it's by design, it can't be a good perk. Do multiple quick gambit stack if 2 people do it with power of 2. Yes, they would. But then again, you have half the team not on gen, so that's still slower than 1 guy with quick gambit and 3 people on gen, so it's whatever, it doesn't matter. You're saying that until you're chasing 2 people as a 12% speed as Huntress? Only she could throw some type of projectile to make up for that. My cat doing? I don't know. Buddy he's going to town on himself right now. Teamwork perks are specifically made for Survivor YouTubers. That is a really good way to describe teamwork perks. They are really good for making like clickbait videos and having no further value than that. Because it will enable some funny things to happen during the game, but it's almost never going to result in an actual beneficial play that would have been better if people just spread out and did gens, you know? So, yes, that is actually a good way to put it. It is a YouTuber set of perks. So, I bet the hate for them will be amplified due to cherry picking YouTube videos. And, you know, you're not going to see the 15 games where they tried to set it up and it just did nothing. So, unfortunately, people see those videos and then freak out about them because they don't understand the concept of cherry picking. So, I guess that's possible. I think Pixel talked about something about tunneling too that I wanted to keep arguing with, but I had to start streaming. He was talking about Blood Rush or something. I don't know where it was. Never mind. So yeah, we pretty much went over most of the main complaints. I mean, I guess I could go back to like a Reddit and look, but I don't want to just have a video where I'm just browsing Reddit randomly. So I think I covered most of the main complaints. Is there any other thing? In my YouTube video, I said DMS got buffed, which isn't the case. Now it has no synergy with the Grim Embrace, so you can't block several gens at the same time. Oh, I mean, I wasn't talking about that combination. I wasn't using that combination to begin with. Because I figured it was kind of cheap. I didn't even consider that. Yeah, I think we're good. Anything else? Anything else to talk about anyway? Deathbound? Oh, Deathbound. What exactly does Deathbound do again? I don't remember the updated change again. Can someone summarize it really quick? I can just look it up too if no one's got it. Oh, wait, no, it's just, it lasts forever now, right? Until you're hooked. It's the same effect, but it just lasts forever now, right? Until you're hooked. Yeah, that's good. So the thing is, Deathbound was worthless. I am actually going to unmod you, Patrick. Deathbound was pretty worthless, other than like on Oni or something. But now it actually seems like it's going to be a good perk. Which, is that a problem? Are people really going to be upset if Deathbound is brought into the meta? Plaything Pentimento better? Yeah, I can think of much better stealth and slowdown options than that still. Again, it'll be good on killers like Oni and shit like that. I think that's neat. But I don't think it's going to be like a super meta perk or anything. Just because it's better than it being pretty terrible before. It's just actually like kind of usable now. Isn't it just kind of fucking over one person? No, not necessarily. You could have multiple scenarios where there's injured people and they all heal each other and they all become oblivious. It's going to be hard keeping track of that shit, though. Like, during the match. Yeah, that's how I feel about a fish dong. There are better perks, but it's, you know, it has a use now, which I think is fine. That's what you should be doing. Let me actually look at the actual patch itself. Just to see if there's anything else I missed. Genetic limits ended up being fine. I don't think anyone's really complaining about that much. Because it really only works when you're taking a chase from a healthy survivor to injured, not injured to downed. Oh, crowd control. Some people were talking about crowd control. How do you guys feel about this? I feel like crowd control is fine. It seems pretty strong, but again, it's a hex perk. Devour Hope is, you know, the effect is much stronger, but as long as it's tied to a hex, I don't think it can be considered OP. I'd say Pentimento is a bit different because it relies on the lack of communication of solo queue to get way more benefit than before, but I think that is fine. I think it's okay. No, Ragnarok. It's the last 5 vaulted things in general. It's not 5 per survivor. That would block the entire map. To me, that actually feels worthy of a hex perk now. I think the risk reward of old crowd control was not worth it. Like, you would always have to bring Undying with it, and you're dedicating half your build to blocking a window at a time. Like, it just wasn't super amazing, but this is actually pretty damn strong. But again, you break it, and it's gone. So, I think the fact that it's tied to a hex makes it okay. Yeah, your teammates can also block shitty vaults on purpose. That is absolutely true. Unironically, a good idea. If you spawn and you know that they have crowd control, just vault some TL walls or something like that in a corner of the map, and you can actually keep it kind of used, I guess. I don't know. I guess you're only going to have to do that when you're in chase, though. Pre-blocking them is not going to matter because it's just going to update the old one. Either way, it's fine. It's actually worthy of it being a hex perk now. Yeah, if a teammate's in chase, you can vault things. Yeah, that's how you would actually benefit in a survive with friends. If you had someone else across the map just vaulting shitty things while you're getting chased, then it would benefit you, yeah. But they'd have to take 3 vaults in a pretty short time period, so... Either way, it's good, it's fair. Leverage is whatever, it's just anti will make it, that's fine. It's honestly still not even that good, it's only 30 seconds, and we'll make it last for a minute, so it's just straight up worse than we'll make it. If we had to go for a direct comparison, machine learning is fine, and needed that change. Predator, I think, is fine. The cooldown is huge. I would say maybe don't make it trigger when you down somebody. I think that's more of a bug than anything, because it specifically says when a survivor escapes a chase, not ends a chase. So I think that's more bug than anything, so I don't think it's worth complaining about, because I'm sure they'll fix that. Oh, we'll make it as 90 seconds. Shit, you're right. Black's fine. Zanshin, this is probably the only thing I'd say is overtuned. This needs to have something about it nerfed. I'm not sure what, either cooldown or duration. This is the only perk I find to be genuinely too strong. But very easy to fix, simple number fix, and we're good. Not a big deal. Corrective action hyperfocus thing is obviously not intended, so that's not going to go live. Inner focus didn't really feel that great. Distortion is different, but fuck distortion, so I don't care. Poise felt cool. I like new poise. Quick Gambit was great for solo queue. Good design. Completely dog shit. Unusably bad. Good for memes, I guess. Oh, it's only 5%. You can't even... How would you get the 114? Oh, would you combine it with, what is it? Blood Pact, I think? Yeah, you'd combine it with Blood Pact. And this is unneeded, but whatever. Low pro change was good. I feel like the Billy changes were okay too, for the most part. I know he's significantly worse, but he was like literally the best killer in the game. So now he's like, I don't know, 3rd best. He's still insanely good. And low pro was without a doubt overpowered. I don't know why they nerfed the turn add-ons. I thought those were fine. I love turning add-ons. I feel like that was unnecessary, but again, he's still one of the best killers in the game. He'll be completely fine. I can't read temporarily. Twins got a minor nerf. I mean, I don't think that really matters. That's a 0.5 second cooldown after you've already downed somebody, so okay. The 3 Twins players will be very upset. And then unknown, I can agree that this needs to be about 1.1 seconds. This is 1.1, 15% faster will get you very close to the 0.85 that it used to be. I think that'd be good. And that's about it. All right, I don't think I have anything else to say for this. So overall, I do think there's a couple of unneeded changes and a couple of questionable changes, but this is not even close to the worst patch we've had. A lot of this stuff is obviously going to be fixed before it goes live, and I think people need to tone down their dooming about it by a decent amount, because it's really not that big of a deal. Most of this shit will not enter the meta whatsoever. The Moris changes are going to affect a very small amount of games. I will say for the first week, there'll probably be a bit more tunnel or slugging, and that's about it. And yeah, that's it. Okay, bye YouTube.